This is the real Tom Rose, and we're dealing with an inequality here. And a helpful technique for dealing with inequalities is to remember that in most cases, if you're not sure what to do with them, you can probably just treat them like equations and use that to figure out what you should do next. So what would you do next if this inequality were an equation? Well, you'd probably solve for z. And that's the same thing that we're going to do in this case. So let's rewrite it. 1/4 minus 1/5 is less than 1/4 minus 1 over z. Now let's subtract 1/4 from both sides, since I see that on both sides. And what we have left is negative 1/5 is less than negative 1 over z. Now, there are some differences between equations and inequalities, and multiplying by variables is one of those cases. It turns out this particular rule is an offshoot from a slightly similar rule, which is if you have an inequality, I'll just make one up, 2 is less than 3, and you multiply both sides by a negative number, the result will be another inequality, but the sign will flip. So notice that the sign has flipped direction. If you multiply by a positive number, the sign does not flip direction. So what's the wrinkle here? Well, when you multiply by variables, we don't know whether to flip the sign or not. So the general counsel when dealing with variables and inequalities is don't ever multiply by variables. Now, we're kind of stuck here because I don't know how to move forward if I can't multiply by a variable. So we need to do a little SAT Jiu-Jitsu here. And this is what we're going to do. Look, the answer choices are all positive. And since we're looking for possible values for z, since all of the options are positive, let's assume z positive. Once we know z is positive, we can multiply by z all we want because we know we don't have to switch the sign. So let's multiply both sides by z. And what we'll end up with is negative z over 5 less than negative 1. Now let's multiply both sides by negative 5. And what we end up with is negative z. Nope, the negative's gone. What we end up with is z, flip the sign, is greater than 5. And when you know z is greater than 5, there's only one answer choice that you can pick. Answer choice E.